What do people say about you when you are not there? What do you understand by the word personal branding and personal brand? Today, I have a panel of distinguished guests to unearth the perspectives of personal branding. This is the Youth Voice Show, Hope Channel, Uganda. On my right, I have a cool gentleman. He's a final law student from KIU. And he's a single man. He's a single man, a physical planner by profession, and a prominent leader. On my left, a maiden appearance of a prominent debate, poetry, and public speech coach. He is a valuation student from Makerere University. He is a leader, not forgetting, he is an evangelist. Next to Martin Musoke is Ruth Nakamya. She's also a final year law student. And her brand is, she is a faith-based encourager. She's a leader and a mentor. On my right is a fresh graduate, a medical student, a medical doctor, from Makerere University, and she is a leader. Her brand, she's a big sister. Yes, this is just the beginning. And we want to understand what personal branding is, and we want to know how best can you define yourself out there. How best can you grow your brand as a person? Nancy, what is personal branding? And how can you differentiate it from personal brand?
Thank you. So I'll start with a simple thing. We all studied. There's a weed and there's weeding. So a weed is an unwanted plant. Then weeding is the process of removing that unwanted plant. So a brand is an adjective, and then the branding is the doing word.
It's a verb.
It's a verb. Yeah. So a personal brand is like a held perception of an individual. What do they know about you? So it's based on your experience, your expertise, your achievements. That is personal brand. Then personal branding are the actions you do or the things you do in order to make that brand. Yes.
Martin, is evaluation student your brand?
Well, certainly not, because that is career.
Okay.
Now there is what people know me for.
Okay.
As Martin Musoke. So it goes beyond just the career, and it goes to what, if I'm out there, not everyone knows me as a valuation student. Some are going to know me for being a debate coach. Others are going to know me for being maybe a photographer and a videographer. Others are going to know me by my principles and values. So it's not certainly the career, but what people know you for, the values that people know you for.
But I also think now the personal brand can come from your career. Like I can decide to brand myself as a lawyer, but I stand out.
Okay.
Yeah, so the personal brand is diverse. It can draw from passion to career to probably lifestyle. Yeah, it's a whole diverse kind of thing, but it's more of individual because it's personal. Like you as a person, how do you sell yourself out there? How do people know you? How do they perceive you?
So personal brand is all about what others know you for.
Definitely.
Onesimus,
yes, please.
What do people know you for?
Well, what people mainly know about me is mainly the leadership skill.
Okay.
A few months ago, if I can give an example, I received a call. Lo and behold, it was a person from Tanzania.
Okay.
He's done with his master's in law. He's pursuing a PhD So he gives me a call. He's like, well, Onesmus have followed you for quite some good time. I've seen how you've been mobilizing youth here and there. And I think you can be a good leader. We're beginning up an initiative in Uganda, and we need a youth engagement leader in our initiative. And when I was trying to look through my contacts and people around, I felt like you could do us well. I remember you used to head your school associations and the rest. So that leadership part of it, and it's like that element of being free and happy with people around you, and the leadership would draw it together. So that's how actually I got that thing without even applying anything.
A number of you are talking about a brand in a career kind of mode. Does a 16-year-old need a personal brand, Nancy?
Yes, they do.
How? In what sense does this make meaning?
They are still growing. They are still developing. So they need this brand in that it's going to give them, they're going to realize their strengths. They're going to realize their weaknesses. They're going to, it's going to help them also make connections. They need scholarships, they need connections, they need collaborations, internship and all that. So if you have a brand as you're growing as a 16-year-old, it's going to help you build these connections. It's going to help you stand out of the competitive environment.
And you know, at the age of 16, these guys are working. They're working. 16? Yeah.
They are working?
Yeah. Actually, legally, Michael Council will agree with me. They can work.
Okay.
They can work. And so that will help them.
I want to understand. What is a 16-year-old doing in branding? What is he exactly branding themselves to be out there? Ruth?
Well, I think the 16-year-old they're not, I wouldn't say they are branding, but they are developing the personal brand.
Okay.
Because personal branding is a journey, I should say. It is also in stages. You don't come out of the blue and say, okay, I'm a life coach. No, it's not that.
Okay.
You have to go through certain stages, certain levels, and until you get there. So a 16-year-old, what they can do in terms of developing their personal brand is to identify who they are, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, where do they want to go, discover their areas of interest. So, and it's a step to personal branding.
You seem to say that we ought to have started our branding when we were 16. Martin, as you come in,
The earlier the better.
Okay, who needs this branding more? Because people are talking about the 16-year-old, and the 16-year-old actually needs branding more than you, who is already out there as. So, who needs this branding more?
I'll just give you one fascinating example that shocked me.
Sure.
This is outside church, but there is a young boy in South Africa called DJ Arch. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah.
This kid, I mean, the dad literally started helping him to build his brand when he was, I don't know, less than 2 years old.
Okay.
Now, by the time he's 15, lo and behold, like, he's prominent. Now, definitely, every single person, be it what age, they actually need a brand. Now, when you also look at the current TikTok and X and the prominent people, they are actually young people who are just coming from high school and they are too bored, so they are looking for how to build a brand for themselves. So literally each and every one, especially the young ones, need to build their brand as early as possible.
Okay, we are digesting who needs this brand more, who needs the personal branding more. I want to also understand as a person who with a career, I can choose not to work on my personal brand.
Yeah.
Just leave my career, not so much with effort to maybe understand what other people think about me. I just leave out my career as a medical doctor. What do I have? Do I have to build this brand intentionally, or I can choose not to have a brand?
there's no weighing scale to weigh who needs to set up a brand. It depends on the target population. Who do you want to help out? Who is like their need? So if I'm a medical doctor and I'm seeing the adolescents, the youth are diverting there's a lot of adolescent problems, starting from up psychiatry to down, then I can stand up and be like, I'm going to build my brand on that. I'm going to guide adolescents. We know this famous Dr. Sabrina Chitaka.
Yeah.
She's into the teenagers, the adolescents. So she's a doctor, and also that's her brand. So you need to know the target audience. Which people am I targeting? Then from there, I can start building my brand.
I also think
there are people that are not interested in building a brand. Am I right?
yeah, I'm a law student, but I'm choosing to do faith-based encouragement. Yeah. So I can still pursue my career, but then build my brand in something else. Yeah. So it's also
Martin,
Just to add on to maybe what she said, to neutralize all the contributions, everyone needs a brand.
True.
so nobody does not.
Nobody does not need a brand unless they do not want to
you need
grow.
to be known by something.
Exactly.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Sure.
One of the schools that I went to has a motto that says, "Be known by works." And then something we used to add was, "But only good works." It was not part of that. But
Okay.
yeah, you need to be known by something.
So, I mean, every single person needs a brand. That's why you see that someone who is in the village doesn't have a brand. Or maybe if they're in the village, there's someone who will be known for selling matoke, another will be known for having a
Better cassava.
Better cassava.
Yeah.
That wajiria kote kawa. Yes, so every single person, like it or not, has a brand. Now the thing is, what are you known for is
Yeah.
the most important thing. That's where the analogy of be known for good works comes in.
You seem to emphasize the point that even when you're not intentional to building a personal brand, you're
Yes.
already building one.
Yes.
So what are you choosing? Are you choosing to build a brand intentionally, or you're choosing to grow it negligently?
Ignorantly, you're choosing to build a brand because if you do not want to ensure that people know you for good works, then your ignorance is what people are going to know as your brand. We get.
Okay.
And like he's saying, it's just a matter of choice. You see, I have a friend of mine who is coming from a well-to-do family.
Okay.
A well-to-do family. And he's having this task of keeping the legacy of the family. But it's like, I wouldn't love to be in the footsteps of my father, to be known for what my father is. Because his father is a well-known man in the village, good traits, helping people around, with money and the rest. And it's like, that's not the path I want. But for the sake of my family,
I'll do
Yeah.
it.
now, I'll just do it, however much I don't love it. So at some point, it also cuts across now. You have to keep a legacy of your family.
Legacy.
Okay.
Another thing is the beauty of personal branding is that if you're intentional about it, in time to come, it can become an avenue for earning some money.
Yeah.
And we definitely know in this world, you really need money for survival.
Ruth, did you sit down to write and ask? Did you sit down to write and say, "I want to be a faith-based encourager" as your brand? Did you have to sit down to grow that brand?
Yeah, I did have to, because now I looked at the people around me. I'm very youthful, and I'm surrounded by youths, and in my service I serve with youths, amongst the youths. So, and we are living in a generation where people think everything is bad. You know, at some point I saw someone post, "I am no longer kind to people. How kind people no longer exist." So people are living in this thing of everyone around you is bad. Wow, what? Those things, people have their own notions. So, and that was not my view. That's not how I viewed life, because I know whom I have believed.
Okay.
And
True.
that's me. So I'm like, but how about I start sharing my belief to other people,
Yeah.
letting them into my space, like giving them my light. Of, how about you see this thing this kind of way? Not everyone is bad. Someone might have hurt you. The next person is not going to hurt you. And if they do, choose to be a different person. If you want to see change, then the change has to start with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, because I want to see change amongst the youths, I choose to be the fountain of change. So I had to sit down, draw all these things on board, and yeah.
I love where you're coming from. Nancy, can we use passion and what moves us as a basis of building our brand?
Yes, we can.
Because she's coming from a perspective where she had to sit down and the environment moved her, and that is what she became passionate about.
I'm sure not only the environment, even her, she was affected. Because I'm not going to go and teach people my brand out there, yet I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it starts with me. If I need to build my brand, what are my skills? Where do I fall in that brand? Then as I build myself, then I also build that brand. I wanted to pose a question.
Sure.
Why do I draw a line between career and brand? Because I might be a very good doctor. I become a surgeon. I invest a lot in that to become a very great surgeon. But that may not be my brand. I'm just putting a lot of effort into my career. So why do I draw a line that this is my brand and that is not my brand? Because someone else may be saying that, oh my God, Dr. Nancy is a great surgeon. She's a great this. They think that is my brand, but no, that's my career.
Martin, to ask your submission in direction to Dr. Nancy, but in this perspective. So she's talking about how to draw a career and a brand.
Yeah.
You are one of the panelists here who has quite a very big profile of a lot
Lengthy.
of lengthy brand.
Yeah.
How did you draw a line between your brand and career as a valuation student?
Yes. It depends on the environment, because from one environment to another, you may have a different brand. For example, in some environments, I'm a videographer and photographer.
Wow.
In some environments, I'm just a graphic designer. In another environment, I'm just a coach.
Lengthy profile.
So, so there are different environments within which your brand may apply. Now, you cannot go to office. You're a doctor, you've gone to hospital, and you want to take your graphic brand there. Though the hospital may be an avenue for you to actually ensure that your brand grows. How? You can decide to market the hospital. So it depends on the environment, but also drawing lines on where your brand applies. You cannot be, let's say, a medical doctor, and then you want to take your brand in musicians, and that's where you want your brand to boost,
To shine.
and all that. So there has to be an environment where your brand has limitations.
Oh, that's fast.
Yes, please.
People seem to associate brand and career in quite a sense. Yeah, there are people out there that have not established themselves in a particular career.
Yeah.
Can't they build a brand without a particular career?
Well, they can build a brand.
Okay.
It's not all about having a career to build a brand. The whole issue with branding is, at the end of it all, what do people remember you about? What's that distinguishing feature that you're having?
Yeah.
Ruth was speaking about faith and the rest. I want to testify that I've seen Ruth posting faith-related spiritual
Round of applause.
nourishment content. And actually,
Thank you.
it's about letting go of your old self.
Yeah.
Now, her brand will bring her to something that she will never post something outside the context of faith and the rest. So
Yeah.
it's not all about having a career. She's a lawyer. She's in this thing. Martin here on the very panel, here we are with him. When I'm out there and I get somebody who wants to design some certificates and every graphic, the first person to come in mind, it's Martin. And actually, all along I thought he's an ICT personnel until I came of late to know that he's a valuation surveyor. So it's not all about having a career,
Yeah.
but rather having that unique feature in you. that people will always remember you about. I don't know if I can speak something small.
Sure.
We grew up in Entebbe,
Mm.
and there is a gentleman who was an Adventist. One day he went to church, and the meeting sat in the village. They were looking for an LC1 person to be their chairman. So he was at church, a meeting sat, and they're like, now whom can we choose to be our leader? And they failed to get a leader amongst themselves. So out of the blue, people are like, but there is so-and-so, Omwadi Venti.
This guy.
He's at church.
Yeah.
He's having good characters.
Yeah.
Whenever he calls people to, he coordinates us up very well with the coordination. He's kind, he's loving, and everything around. And so they voted him and nominated him as the leader in his absentia. Only for him to come back in the evening, they're like, congratulations, get your money. And it's like, why? Because of the branding, that unique feature in him. So it's not all about the career, but rather, what do people remember you about? So you can build your brand without even a
How you
career.
portray
Was it because
yourself.
of the way he dressed? Or?
So as we are heading into the break, we understand that a career and a brand are quite separate things, but it's not a crime to actually combine them.
Yeah.
We shall take a short break, and after we shall return to the same topic. Thank you. I want to welcome you back. And as we got into the break, we were talking about personal branding. How important is personal branding? We differentiated between personal branding and a personal brand. Each and everyone needs a brand. Whether you intentionally build the brand or you negligently leave and just grow a brand. A brand is what people know you for. Now, as we dive into the topic, more and more sensitive issues is what we are discussing right now, okay? Now, the easiest space to put out your personal brand has been social media,
Yeah.
okay? Has been social media. It is readily available. You can enter into, you can get out and tell people whatever you want. There are people that are known for certain things on social media, and when you meet them in person, they're quite different people.
Yeah.
How do you grow that brand on social media?
Well, actually, just today morning, I was looking for. There's a certain book launch that I'm going to be covering with my photography and videography company.
Wow.
But I was looking for someone who has a minimum of 1,500 followers, and I was so shocked when someone texted and they have 33,000 followers, and this person is asking for 500K. Like, the social media presence is something that is growing and booming. And if you actually do not have an online presence, it's tricky. But the only challenge maybe where it has come in is who you are on social media turning out who you are not physically. Like, you find young people, they post certain things, and then when you meet him in person, you're like, okay, is this the person? But we have very many platforms. We have X, we have YouTube. Some are even using YouTube to make money. Some are using TikTok to make money these days. So there are very many platforms from where people have gone to build their brands. You've heard of big brands that are there on social media. The companies themselves are actually going to it as a marketing strategy. So you basically go and display your content. And I'll just give you one that we all know. I mean, MTN. there's something that we all know it for. But the only reason as why we know it is because they put it out all there. They have a certain phrase, and this is where content creators have also come to make money and also make some good image on social media. MTN. Everywhere you go. Like that's a snapshot of what MTN is. So now Martin Musoke on social media, when someone sees maybe debate and life, they may perceive
know.
Martin Musoke, you get. So it's very important for us to have an online presence.
That's it. Do I have to first prepare to get on the social media?
No, something to add on. Talking about building an online presence, people out there need to know that there are two spaces. There is your space, and then there's an outside space.
Okay.
So your space is your website, the one you're creating, the one you're building. The outside space is the social media, the Instagram, the Twitter, all that.
Okay.
But people tend to forget about their space. Someone will start on their space and then they have 1 like, 2 likes, and they're like, no, I cannot, this is not my thing. And they forget that you begin from there. No one started like this and they had 1,000 likes. It begins with something small as you build on. So when building an online space, you require patience and then also exposure. As you invest in your website, don't forget to also look at other websites and see how they are doing it and get that exposure, not copy.
Wow.
But then the other thing about social media, before you get there, you require self-awareness.
Okay.
You need to be aware of who you are. You need to work on your self-confidence, because the people out there have so much to say. And unless you are aware of who you are, what you stand for, and what you're here for, then you might be carried away by what they have to say. So you have to draw boundaries of, this is my space, this is who I am. You will not say this on my platform. And if you do, I will not answer back. Because now if you decide to answer back, then that's another thing. Yeah.
Okay, I see you're banning, but maybe I want to engage Onesimus a little bit.
I was going to remind her about the streets. The streets are not. That's what it is. X, the streets.
The streets are cold.
I have a difficulty now that I am here on my platform, on my TikTok. I am going to present as a person who puts on a tie and a shirt and a waistcoat, and a very serious gentleman.
Yeah.
But on a Tuesday, when I wake up and it's my off day, I cannot go out and maybe buy a Rolex or buy, because I have to protect that
Online presence.
online presence. I am struggling with keeping up with the looks. How do I do that? How do I balance the looks, physical appearance? Do I have to be on each and every time looking like the one that is on social media?
Well, what I would love to say is, first of all, be yourself.
Yeah.
First, be yourself. This thing of putting unnecessary pressure on yourself with the physical appearance now, what people perceive of me, and the rest. Like I told you one time, just of late I went to a live band show, and lo and behold, a person meets me from Sasako and is President Waba debate. I'm over in a live band session, and he's having that branding of presidents and the rest. So the physical appearance always matters a lot, because you're leaving a legacy behind that people are going to look at, and it's going to bring that distinguishing feature from other people. So that online presence and the physical presence, once you let social media eat you up, and you want now to follow what people want, not what you want to be, you'll end up messing around. You only having 10,000 and you want to eat food for 30,000 simply because you're a celebrity on the social media.
Be your authentic self.
You strike me with a statement. People want to fake it out there, yet that is not really them. You go on Instagram and the person is only posting happy pics. But deep down there, in the real sense, they are burning it.
They're
only to keep up
struggling.
with a personal
And
brand.
do you know why? I think because there is a saying that says, fake it until you make it.
Okay.
So some people feel like they need to fake
Overdo it.
the life
Overdo it.
until,
Until
yeah.
the likes.
But I don't think it is the thing. Now, just like Onesmus has said, you need to be yourself,
Authentic.
very authentic. But you're not going to be authentic unless you've discovered yourself, unless you've gotten to know what you stand for. Like, this is what I believe in, this is what I'm going to do. And for the people out there, because now I know you, before you build your brand, you're going to be a viewer. You need to know that the person that is building this brand, the person that is putting out this content out there, has their own life. Like, away from the serious person you're going to be seeing coaching people here and there, there'll be another happy person that has friends that they can sit and joke around.
Go out.
I met some of my students, and I was at a store buying a chapati, and they almost took my pic because they almost took my pic, and I was like, really? What exactly is this? Martin, if I could get you get your view about authenticity.
Yes.
Has there been a time you have misrepresented your brand? For example, debate. As a debate coach, you've been invited and you misrepresented, and people did not feel you being as a debate coach.
Anyway, for the line of debate, maybe not.
How did you feel?
But the one way I misrepresented, and I hated that experience because I felt so low. But the beautiful thing is that I picked up the lesson from it, that I need to work like maybe 5 times more. The time where I misfired was when I told people that I'm a photographer and videographer, and then one day, because I started this without even a camera, and then one day someone calls me for an event to cover it, and guess what? I have
no
to look for a
equipment.
camera. I have no equipment, and then all the guys that would have given me equipment were not around. So I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I told the guy, man, I'm busy. I have a lot of work in the field and all that. So you see it. So it's like the other example when she was speaking. Imagine MTN said everywhere you go, and then you reach Masaka,
And it is
MTN
not there.
is off. You go to Mukono,
MTN
MTN is not operating. Like,
What do you mean?
yeah, you get. So though there are sometimes I've
So
got to, like,
authenticity affects
it's
your brand.
a lot.
Authenticity affects your reputation as a brand.
Yeah.
And maybe to get into this sense really deeper, I want to question still, Martin.
Yeah.
What came first? The public speech coach or the evangelist came first? Because I was discussing with someone, and we were debating on, because you have to go out there and present your brand, but again you have to keep up with your faith, with what you believe in.
Yeah. Now this is where I bring in the aspect of values, and I think maybe everyone will get a chance to talk about values and what they think about it. What came first for me was the debate. Before I got so involved into active evangelism and going out there to preach and share the word of God. But then there was still something that was fundamental, that is the values. Values save us a lot, and I'll tell you that as a person growing your brand, what people will associate you more to is not just how nice looking you're looking, you're appearing, how good you can speak English. People will attribute you to the values that you hold. And in each and everything that I do, I tell people, someone asked me one time, why is it that when you organize your competitions for high schools, none of them is on a Saturday? Yet on a Saturday, that's where you can get most schools. And I told them, look, there is something fundamental. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. And anything on Saturday and Friday, because if I organize an event on Friday and it goes up to evening, I'm encroaching into my Sabbath time.
Yeah.
So Friday, Saturday, no work. And my bosses also know that, my clients, when you call me on Saturday, I will not pick up the call. But the other aspect which I will conclude with, like here, is quality. When your brand is associated with quality, trust me, people will be willing to abide by your values. As long as you offer quality, people want quality. They do not want more of how you're looking and all that.
Yeah.
If you've just joined us, we are talking about personal branding. And personal branding has a lot of perspectives that drive through the career, through passions and talents and strengths. We have also looked at how to build an online presence as in regards to personal branding. You can still catch us on StarTimes, channel 241. GoTV is 821 and free to air is 21. You as a youth as well can follow this conversation on YouTube. Make sure the conversation continues. There are a lot of aspects and perspectives about personal branding that we might not have hinted on. You can make them in the comments. Onesimus, just maybe to catch up with what Martin is
With the
talking about,
values.
the values. Do you in any sense have you developed your brand on a particular value?
Well, the first and foremost thing I would
The
say
mere
is
fact that you are a law student. Yes, because if you mention about a lawyer,
And faith. Law and faith.
law and faith still tend to diverge. I want to know what value have you based on in your faith, in your personal
now
brand?
when you bring in the legal perspective and the biblical perspective and the rest, like you're pushing us to into the two may not move along.
Okay.
But I, for one, have gone through the law school with satisfaction about my values. I'm a law student. However much I'm a law student, God has blessed me in this field. Not to oppress people,
And he has a reason
not
why.
to be that thief people think us to be, not to come out and be that person who I wouldn't call it blaspheming, but I'm looking for a better word to call it. But I'm there for something.
Okay.
I have something I have to uplift, because the same God who blessed me in this course is the same God who carry me through and who bless the works of my hands. So my values, I'm very straight, clear. Throughout my entire law school, we've had classes on Saturday and the rest. I've been very clear.
You don't
Me,
do that.
I don't do that. Even in the most things we always do, it's like more of a code thing. You never find me doing criminal cases involving rape and I'm supporting them. Never.
Oh.
Yeah.
Never. At least I would choose a civil case than choosing something. And my classmates have known that. Like, you want something to do with evil and Onesimus, that the top
They're
palarero.
perfect.
Nancy, to bring you in this to bring you in this context as well. I have a brand and I am looking up to someone as a mentor, but I am challenged by maybe I might get lost and I become my mentor, not being my own self. What is the role of mentors in my building of a personal brand?
Mentors are supposed to guide you, not to do for you things.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They're supposed to show you, because those people have experience. And you're starting your own brand. You need someone to tell you, when you do that, you might not be able to achieve that result you intended to. Or they might even push you a little bit, because as you create your brand, sometimes you tend to go back to your cave when something happens. When you face a hurdle, you tend to back down and sit back and be like, no, I don't think I'm made for this. So that mentor will be on you and push you to achieve your goal. So mentors are there to guide you, but not to do for you things.
Yeah.
Ruth, how consistent have you been in growing your faith encouragement? How consistent? Is there a point in growth where you felt like this brand was a little low and you had no energy maybe to push it through?
Okay. Well, I don't think I have been to a point whereby
Yes.
I felt
Yes.
I felt like I am low, because I have been onto the self-discovery journey, and I'm a very confident person, and I believe in myself at whatsoever point. But the one thing with consistency is that it is not always the highs. Consistency is high and low, and you just have to keep up. The goal is supposed to be progress and not perfection. So with me putting out faith-based content, with me holding others accountable when it comes to their prayer lifestyle, sometimes I also fail as a person. Even the Bible says the spirit is always willing, but the flesh very weak. So sometimes it gets to prayer time and then you're probably very sleepy, you're quite engaged. It's human, you fail. And when it comes to the consistency ladder, we might say you're down. But you being consistent is now being at that low point, realizing that you're down there and being in position to get up. So it doesn't matter. In a week, if you're supposed to probably post things out there, and you're like, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this every day probably, and in a week you've done it 3 days. So your goal is to do better next week. Like probably let me do 4 days.
Yeah.
You do it. That's consistency.
Martin, I have a follower here. His name is Joshua, and he sent me a text earlier on, and he told me he's having difficulty. I wanted to pose this question specifically to him
With the big CV.
because profile
The lengthy
of the
CV.
brand that you have. He's doing ICT.
Yeah.
He's doing graphics. He has issues with I won't call them issues. He has electrical engineering in his sense.
Yeah.
Talk about that in a sense that you can keep up with all of them, and the brand not being the one kind of.
Yes, there are disciplines, like I had earlier talked about. There are disciplines that guide branding. And one of the reasons as to why we see very many people having brands, you see Ham Enterprises. Ham is into Ham Villas. He has the malls. He has transportation companies in the USA. Like, he has diversified his brand.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it is what we've just been talking about, consistency. Like, one of my clients, I designed for them reports,
Another profile.
big reports.
Yes.
And
Another
Designer
profile.
of reports.
so I designed for them reports. But this report is like 200 pages.
Okay.
Now, for him to test me, what he did is he gave me this report. And upon giving me this report, he tells me, we need to deliver this report on Friday at midday.
Okay.
Meanwhile, he sent it to me Thursday evening. So what does that imply? I had to spend the entire night. Actually, Makerere, now I slept at the college, like in class. And by 10 a.m., I ensured that he had the work. And when I went to cash out, he tells me, you've won this contract. Like anyone else who has been doing it is
That's
off.
wonderful.
So it's consistency and also streamlining, like I said, where your different brands apply. But you have the capacity to build many, but as long as you
can manage.
them.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, and I want to appreciate each and everyone on my panel. It has been a pleasure. Martin Musoke, high profile. Ruth
Indeed.
Nakamia, faith best encourage. Nancy here is a doctor, medical doctor,
Big sister.
big sister, and
Yeah.
we have a single gentleman on this mass.
Emphasize single.
Yeah.
My name is Benedict Luswata. I'm a procurement student, a leader, and
A life coach.
a life coach.
The brand.
A life coach. And I want to thank you for those that have been with us ever since we started. And keep following us on our social media, YouTube, TikTok, X, and what else?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
I don't know.
Really? Even Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been the Youth Voice, and may God bless you. Catch us next time.